GoldenEye 007 had a strong influence on Banjo-Kazooie's sequel because Rare devs spent probably every lunchtime for a couple of years playing the Nintendo 64 first-person shooter. It just felt like the next logical step. So this is some information I wanted to go ahead and discuss just because I thought this was so cool. Obviously with a lot of the videos I've been able to do, I hope people have kind of realized that yes, I am a big Banjo-Kazooie fan. Banjo-Kazooie was one of my favorite games growing up. It was one of those games that I had gotten part of my collection with the 64, and I loved it, man. I love playing it. It was such a fun game. The characters, the music, there's just so much to love about it. Banjo Tooie now was one of the games that I wasn't able to actually own for a long time. And the only real way I was able to play it was one of my cousins. She had a copy of it. So I would go over and just anytime I hung out with her, I would just go over and just kind of play that game. And that was one of the things that kind of got me into it. I remember when I was really young, I became so close to beating the game, but I wasn't able to. So it wasn't until like a few years later I was able to actually purchase the game myself and then play it then and was able to actually complete it. Now, out of the two, I definitely got to say Banjo Kazooie is the better one. With Banjo Tooie, I didn't really realize why it wasn't as good in my opinion as the first one until I was able to actually watch a video on YouTube. I can't remember who it was by, but they just kind of go over what what made Banjo Kazooie better than Banjo Tooie, and what were some of the issues with Banjo Tooie. One of the main things was just how much backtracking you have to do, and how long, so like how huge some of the levels are, and how long it takes to kind of complete them, as opposed to Banjo Kazooie. But yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like they're both really good games. They're really fun to play, and yeah, hearing this information in regards to 007 was something I thought was pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and go over this article. I'm just going to read little bits and pieces here and there, and then just kind of give my thoughts as we go along per usual. So, Rare, FKA Rareware, has been a gaming institution for almost 40 years and has put out well over 100 games. So it's no surprise that at some point in its history, the developers would eventually take inspiration from itself. And that's exactly what happened during the development of Banjo Tooie, Banjo Kazooie sequel, naturally, which actually has some GoldenEye 007 influence of all things, which is awesome because I love the Banjo Kazooie games, and of course I love 007 GoldenEye, so that's awesome to hear. So, former Rare developer and Banjo Kazooie coder Chris Sutherland said as much in the latest issue of the Retro Gamer magazine while talking about the making of the 2000 sequel. You see, Banjo Tooie featured a handful of sections where you see the world from Banjo's eyes, while he grabs Kazooie by the neck and uses her to shoot out eggs like an anthropomorphic machine gun. Some of the game's multiplayer minigames work the same way too, but that's only because a handful of developers were basically hooked on the Nintendo 64's GoldenEye, also made by Rare. And that is one of the funny things because for anyone that doesn't know, there is a few mini games in the game itself, like the main story, where you do have to go through like a certain section. And yeah, like it stated, you're holding Kazooie like a minigun pretty much, and she ends up shooting out the eggs. You have to go towards other enemies and stuff like that. And I believe it's once you beat the game, then you actually have the ability to play that kind of multiplayer. It's very similar to GoldenEye. So instead of running around like James Bond with a gun in your hand shooting, other enemies or other players, friends and stuff like that you would play with. You're playing as Banjo Kazooie, going around, with Kazooie as like a gun, shooting other enemies in that game. So, seeing this information, I thought was hilarious because of the fact that it is so similar to 007. But yeah, hearing that they took that inspiration from it's not surprising, especially when looking back on it. Because at the time when you play it, you don't really think too much of it. You're just like, oh, this is I've done this before, first person kind of shooter type of thing. But and then when you find out that obviously Rare were the creators of both of them, as well as the fact that the developers would play 007 repeatedly, like it states during their lunch. I think that's hilarious. I think it takes a lot of inspiration from it, which is obvious when you look back at it, but it's just funny to see. So there were 4 or 5 of us on the Banjo team that would play GoldenEye probably every lunchtime for a couple of years. So that was a strong influence on Banjo Tooie, Sutherland said. Then I think director Greg Malis always wanted to have Banjo and Kazooie separate and then join up. It just felt like the next logical step. Once we split the characters apart, suddenly your movement was reduced, so you could do all the things you could do before. It was another way to give you a different set of moves. Then there were missions built around that. And that is one of the things I actually did really enjoy about Banjo Tooie was the fact that you could separate the two. Now with Banjo Kazooie, it's just you as Banjo, and then Kazooie in the backpack, and you're kind of going the whole game as teammates and everything like that, which is awesome. But the fact that they were able to kind of innovate doing it so that you could separate from the two and have some missions where you have to just play as Kazooie and then some where you have to play as Banjo, I thought that was awesome. I thought it was really cool to do that, and really enjoyable to kind of see how each character was able to kind of handle their own when it was just themselves. So seeing that they were able to kind of switch between the two was something I thought was really interesting, a really innovative way to look at the characters, and really cool to see that yeah, these characters work really well together, but even when they're separated, they still have, good qualities about themselves that can help them throughout their journey, which I thought was cool. So Rare's always had a knack for swapping genres like a pair of socks, and the studio returned to shooters with Perfect Dark Zero, and the first person perspective in Sea of Thieves. As for Banjo Kazooie, the company is reportedly still listening to pitches about a possible reboot. So, yeah, and that's one of the things I'm kind of hoping that we will get a reboot when it comes down to Banjo Kazooie, but that's only if it's able to stay true to the franchise itself, what the games were initially about, and how they were played and everything like that. Yeah, I know that platformers aren't necessarily a big thing in today's day and age when it comes down to gaming, but those games, I feel like they did so well back in the day, and if they were able to kind of stay true to what they are as far as the characters, the music, the gameplay, I feel like there is potential to for there to be a lot of fans out there that would be willing to come back, and a lot of new fans that would be willing to give the franchise a shot. And it is one of the awesome things I like to appreciate when it comes down to the Banjo Kazooie franchise, was the fact that I didn't initially think there was a big fan base for it as much as there was. It wasn't until I actually started doing this channel and started doing videos on Banjo Kazooie that I seen there were a lot of fans that really do still care about this game and enjoy it very much and still have a lot of love for it. And that is one of the cool things, because I'll never forget one of my first videos that ever kind of like, I don't even say blew up, but just like took off, but just kind of got a lot more views than what my videos initially get, was the fact that I was kind of criticizing Microsoft for talking bad about the Banjo Kazooie franchise, and it ended up doing a lot better than I had anticipated. And it was kind of unfortunate just because it was when I first started doing these videos, so I sounded like a little bit like you can definitely tell that I was still kind of coming into my own when it came down to doing videos and everything like that. But it just really showed me how much people actually care about this franchise and how much people want to see more of it and want to see it do well. Which honestly, that warmed my heart so much, man. Because again, I love this franchise. I think it's awesome to see that it's done as well as it has over the past few years and everything, and it almost has like a cult following. So yeah, that's something that I just really love and appreciate when it comes down to this game, as well as the fans out there who have showed the love and support for this franchise on my channel and just in general. So yeah, man. So seeing that this game took some inspiration from 007, I think is awesome, and I can definitely see that being the case. And hopefully, we'll be able to get some more of this game in the future, because I would definitely love to see some more Banjo Kazooie here. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys definitely see the influence that was able to come through when it came down to 007? I mean, obviously, when you see some of the gameplay and everything like that, you'll notice it right away. But if there was anyone out there that kind of seen it for what it was way back when, when that game first came out. So if you guys can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, if you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.